With the announcement of Illinois Senator Richard Durbin that he is not going to seek re-election, several Democrats are planning on making announcements. One of those expected to do so is Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, who is originally from Peoria, now representing a district in the Chicago area. But he stopped at Atlanta in central Illinois to visit with farmer Ron Kindred. Ron is chair of the Illinois Soybean Association, and they visited with each other for a number of minutes regarding trade and a lot of other agricultural issues.
We are concerned that the last time we lost a little market share when the last tariff was on in 18, and our concern going forward is that we hope this doesn't last very long, that they negotiate an agreement sooner rather than later, and that we don't lose any market share going forward. So that's kind of where we're at.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you, sir, for allowing us to visit your farm, and congrats to your family.
Yeah.
I loved your story about how your dad bought the farm back in the early 1960s.
Yes.
And have made it into this big success. But I'm also reminded of that quip that if you want to know how to make a small fortune in farming, start with a big one. And so I know it's very risky.
It is.
I know you can't control the weather. You can't control the prices of a lot of things you buy.
Right.
However, I respectfully submit that we don't want to get into trade wars.
Right.
And I'm concerned about the trade war, especially with our friends, partners, and allies like Canada and Mexico, who buy so much of our exports, but also who provide different inputs. I'm sure that some of the fertilizer that you use on this farm has inputs that come from Canada, for instance. So your prices are probably going up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're facing potential retaliation from other countries, such as China. Mm-hmm. And I'm very concerned about the 145% tariffs we've placed on their products and 125% they've placed on ours, which makes it very difficult for us to sell these soybeans to China. Right. One farmer explained to me that we could not possibly eat all the soybeans that we produce. So we need places to sell them.
We do.
We need to make sure that we, as a government, open up new markets, not constrain existing ones. And so I am very hopeful that the Trump administration is listening to people like yourself and others who are actually in the trenches doing the farming, and they take a step way back from where we are right now, because at the end of the day, these tariffs, they hurt real people and they hurt farmers. And for Illinois, which is the fourth largest exporting state in the country, agricultural crops are our staple. And so we want to be able to sell them all over the world, and we don't want other markets to somehow steal our business.
Right, right. We, as you know, we are the #1 soybean producing state in the United States. So soybeans are near and dear to our heart, and that's, I think now these associations are more important than ever to represent farmers and tell our story.
Yes.
And the impact that different regulations might have on us. But one thing we're focusing on as a soybean association is trying to grow our domestic market.
Yes.
So we're less reliant on trade and having to move our product overseas. So the biofuels market is an excellent place that we could grow. Especially with the sustainable aviation fuel, renewable diesel, biodiesel. It's an excellent arena for us to grow some of our domestic markets, which in turn lowers the price of soybean meal. So it's an ideal environment to grow our livestock industry here in Illinois. So, those are the kinds of things that we're focusing on as an organization, and trying to impact and tell our story about the tariffs and what it means to us, but also the things we're doing outside of that to possibly negate some of the impacts.
Well, I'm 100% with you. I'm from Peoria.
Okay.
So I grew up with a lot of people who worked on a farm and came into the city and worked another job, and grew up with people who very much are trying to think outside the box, right? and
Right.
we should be thinking outside the box about biofuels.
Yep.
I'm going to put in a plug for those provisions of the IRA that help farmers like yourself with regard to biofuels. And I think I'm hopeful that my Republican friends and colleagues will join with me in urging the Trump administration to retain all of those credits that help with us, for instance, furthering the sustainable aviation fuel
Right.
credit, which is huge.
It is.
Because
Yep.
we could be the provider of aviation fuel worldwide, given your productivity.
Right.
In addition, biofuels, just in general, we need to prioritize.
Yeah, it's a the biofuels itself is a tremendous story environmentally. We can reduce carbon overnight
Yeah.
by using biofuels, and I know that California is really pushing for electrification of vehicles, but when you look out here in the countryside and look at all the big equipment that we're running, and what is the feasibility of electrifying all this equipment, and how are farmers going to be able to afford to buy it? And that's the bottom line. We've got to do what we can do that's sustainable for us, and so we use biodiesel here on the farm and try to clean up our emissions as much as we can, and it's affordable equipment now, but if you mandate that we electrify everything, then that reduces the affordability.
I think you're absolutely right about biofuels for heavy equipment, whether it's a cement truck or whether it's this piece of equipment. You can't electrify that anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
So let's do our best.
Right.
And that's or a plane.
Yeah.
You can't electrify a large jet at this point. You have to use fuel.
Yeah.
You have to carry your fuel with you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so let's be practical, but at the same time, common sense about keeping those things on a bipartisan basis.
Sure.
I have to give you a shout out to the Soybean Association. You folks have worked very closely with my office over the years, and you're keeping these things very bipartisan. And the more that we can, the better off we all are.
Exactly. And that's we need that message out
Yes.
in D.C. We need strong leadership out there. As you know, Senator Durbin announced yesterday that he's retiring. So we're going to need somebody to step up and take his lead. Because he's been a leader out there for a number of years, and we need somebody that can bring our delegation together. And be bipartisan, and then we can be more effective, I think. And then agriculture is represented a little bit stronger out there.
I agree. I agree. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank
Well,
you.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Really kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, do I get to ride this? Drive this thing?
We can start it.
We'll take it back to Chicago.
Yeah. We can back it up and pull it forward, but that's about all we can do.
Well, Congressman, as Ron just mentioned there, Senator Durbin yesterday announcing that he would not be running for another term. Are you going to be running for the Senate?
Well, we're going to be making an announcement on that pretty soon. Today, I want to just learn more about how tariffs are affecting Ron, his farm, and also all farmers. I also want to celebrate Dick Durbin's service to our state. He has been passionate about helping our agricultural sector, and so whoever fills in for his gigantic shoes is going to have to continue with that legacy.
Anybody else?
Congressman, can I just ask, what are some of the qualities you'd like to see in a candidate run for, Congressman or Senator Durbin's role? And maybe you could touch upon the importance of visiting, downstate places like here in Atlanta for such a candidacy?
We're going to make an announcement on that later. Someone with a very long name, probably, I'm just kidding. But no, look, I think that the bottom line is right now it's a day to talk about Senator Durbin and to really focus on Ron and the farmers. So that's what I'm really laser focused on today, because I think that not enough attention is being paid to our farmers who are being caught in the crossfire. Just this morning we were with sellers of produce, people who sell fruits and vegetables, and they are absolutely getting clobbered. And as a consequence, people at the grocery store are paying 10% more for all of their fruits and vegetables. And these folks are paying more for their inputs, these farmers, and they're getting a double whammy in the form of retaliatory tariffs, which doesn't make any sense. So just want to focus on these folks.
And I guess, just why is it important for you to kind of visit down here? Just you yourself as within your own role.
Well, I'm from down here, so this is very very much like home for me. And so being down here and being with people that I grew up with is super important, something I've done over the last 20, 30 years, and I'll continue to do that.
Yeah. What's been your biggest takeaway from making the rounds here today? And I know you've got one more stop, but so far, what's been your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is people are very concerned about two words: chaos and uncertainty. Chaos because they don't know who to believe or what is actually the truth about what's going to happen with regard to the tariffs. And then uncertainty means less hiring and less investment. And so especially small businesses. So I was a former small business person. I like to say I signed the front of the check and the back of the check, just like Ron.
Yep.
And these folks are the ones who really take it in the shins. You know why? Because what happens is, at this moment when Ron is facing both retaliation as well as higher inputs, his competition, the very largest farmers, agribusinesses, corporations, will take advantage of this position to try to squeeze Ron and other small businesses. And as a former small business person, I can tell you it's a moment of high vulnerability. And so we don't want that. It's hard enough to be a farmer. Why would you want to put yet another impediment in the way of their success?
Congressman, both you and Ron have criticized tariffs. What can the Democratic folks in the Congress do to turn things around at this point? I don't know that farming can wait another 3+ years.
Okay, this is what we need. We need 3 people on the other side, our friends and colleagues on the other side among Republicans, to join with us to basically end I call it a fake emergency, which is basically giving the president the powers to put these tariffs in place. He is invoking emergency powers under the IAEEPA Act. We're really good at naming stuff in Washington.
Yeah. Acronyms.
And so under this act, he's invoking an emergency. But from what I can see, the emergency is now because of the chaos and the uncertainty. And let's end that emergency. Congress should have a lot more control over trade policy. And while we want the executive branch to maintain discretion under certain laws, this is going overboard.